Tope con hello everybody and welcome to another edition of the No Spots podcast. That's right, this is episode 97. We are three. Did someone say three? Yes, 3 episodes away from the big 100, and excited isn't even the word for it. It's pretty cool to get to this point. It took 2 years, but we're almost to that point. These is people Chef here with you. Sith is also here with you as well. Sith, how you doing, sir?
Oh man, I gotta tell you, usually Royal Rumble season begins the road to WrestleMania, if I'm not mistaken. But we're gonna get into this in our weekend review. But SmackDown this week felt like they were doing all the heavy lifting for promoting. But we'll get to that. How are you today, sir? Jim?
Yeah, no, I hear where you're coming from. We'll get to that, as you know, when we go through our bits and pick what's good and what's bad and everything like that. Because remember, Raw and SmackDown were go-home shows for this coming Sunday's Royal Rumble. And also, do remember that for the Royal Rumble, our live reactions will be on Twitch, not on here on Facebook or on YouTube. It'll be on Twitch. So if you have a Twitch account, make sure you go on there, search True No Spots Pod, all one word, and follow us. That way you'll get the notification that we are live, and you can come on there, and there's a live chat in there, so you can chat it up with us and things of that nature. You can also host it, because Twitch gives you the option to host it on your channel, so that way others can see it as well. So, spread the love and everything like that. But we got a big packed show for you tonight. We got a lot to talk about. Got a bunch of news to talk about, including a former champion who has now become part of the United States, so to speak. And we'll also talk about some breaking news that came in today that we'll talk about, that thank goodness Sif was able to catch and send it to us before I finished prepping the show. So good on Sif for that one. Then we'll get into some New Japan. We saw a shocking return on New Japan Strong, and we saw a very, very hard-hitting main event that saw a very shocking result, to me at least. Once we do that, then we will preview the 6-match card for the Royal Rumble, which includes all championship matches plus the 2 Rumble matches. We will preview all of that for you. And then, of course, again, our 2 out of 3 Falls Weekend Review segment, looking at all the shows from this week, from Raw all the way to SmackDown with everything in between. So let's get into the news. And again, we're going to start with the breaking news, the breaking news story. And I'm going to do something really quickly. Joe, give me just a second. So I'm going to put you on frame for just a quick minute while I do this news stuff, so just hang tight.
Cool.
There we go. Do this gimmick here. All right, so the breaking news that came out earlier today was that Mia Yim, who's currently known as Reckoning in Retribution, confirmed via social media that she tested positive for COVID-19. Now, the messed up part about this is that this morning she got on social media to debunk a rumor that was going around and said she had it. And so she debunks the rumor, then she goes and gets tested and comes out positive. So she went on her social media to let everybody know this. This post said this, quote, "This morning at around 10:30 a.m., I debunked the rumor stating I was positive with COVID. For that, I must make a statement. I have been getting tested every week for several months now. All have been negatives. I was negative last week. I got to this afternoon, less than an hour ago, and it came back positive. Please respect my privacy. Please stay safe. Wash your hands and wear a mask. See you soon." Now, it's crazy with this situation with her tested positive for COVID on this being a Saturday, given the fact that she was just on Raw literally 5 days ago, in the corner of Retribution, with Slapjack faced Xavier Woods and lost Xavier Woods, but she was there. So it's kind of hard to say, given my somewhat close experience, you want to say, with COVID, she could have easily caught it literally the next day from somewhere, and it wouldn't pop until like maybe 4 or 5 days later. So best wishes to Mia Yim. Hopefully she's either asymptomatic or her symptoms are very minor and she gets through it and she, comes out on the other side, because this is a very scary virus. I can tell you that much. It's a very scary virus. But prayers to Mia, and it looks like most likely that with Mia being positive and Keith Lee being in close contact because they are they are partners, they are lovers, stuff like that. 9 times out of 10 he will have to self quarantine because of close contact, which means 9 times out of 10 he will not be in the Royal Rumble come Sunday. So there's one less person that you can expect in the Royal Rumble come Sunday when the men's Royal Rumble kicks off. All right, so next news story. We got ourselves our look at the the Dark lineup coming up Tuesday. 13 matches, but quite a bit of women's action as well, plus a waiting room segment. Of course, Britt Baker and Reba. Their guest will be absolute Ricky Starks, so that should be highly entertaining. Ricky Starks being on there with Britt and Reba. But the matches are as follows. You're going to have Ty Conti with Anna Jay and the Dark Order going up against Tesha Price. You got Thunder Rosa against the Mean Girl, Danny Jordan. Casey Navarro against Ray Phoenix. Ivelisse and Diamante against Vert Vixen and Jasmine Allure. Layla Hurst versus Catalina Perez. Billy and Colton Gunn going up against John Skyler and Ray Jazz. Alex Gracia against Red Velvet, Fuego del Sol and Varia Morales against Proud and Powerful, Santana and Ortiz of the Inner Circle, Chaos Project against SCU, the Acclaim back in action for the first time in a couple of weeks. They'll be going up against Ryzen and Danny Limelight. 10, of course, with the Dark Order against St. Patrick, I should say. A big 8-man tag match. Bear Country and the team of Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss, so they're back together, going up against the Captain Sean Dean, Baron Black, Aaron Solo, Mike Verna, and then Mbadu, along with TNT, Terrence and Terrell Hughes, going up against the Natural Nightmares of Dustin Rose and QT Marshall, along with Nick Camarado. Now, we'll see if that match holds, because remember, Nick Camarado and the Natural Nightmares were supposed to be in a match on last week's Dynamite that involved the debuting Ryan Nemeth, but it was pulled over that weekend, and that match never happened. But Ryan did make his debut for AEW on Dynamite in a losing effort to Hangman Page. So there you go. That's your lineup for Dark. And remember, Dark comes on every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. It premieres live. And like I said, I watch it when it premieres live. It's one of the few events that I watch live on YouTube, and so I check it out. I have my nice little Tuesday night ritual, and it's never failed. It's awesome. Now, let's talk about NXT Takeover. We had the NXT Takeover is coming up on February the 14th, and with about 3 weeks to go, we finally have a match set for said takeover. And that match was set up by a segment that took place on NXT TV this past Wednesday, involving Toni Storm, Mercedes Martinez, and the NXT Women's Champion Io Shirai. Toni called out Io and said she wanted to fight her for a championship. Io obliged and told her, repeated that she didn't like her. So they got the fight, and then all of a sudden Martinez came out of nowhere, and then everybody just got the fight. And so you know what? They said, you know what? Guess what? All three of y'all going to fight for that championship, because it has been announced that in a triple threat match for the NXT Women's Championship, it will be Toni Storm, Mercedes Martinez, both women challenging Io Shirai for that championship. So there you go. And they got plenty of time to build this up. So I'm looking forward to this matchup. I would assume that this matchup, if the NXT Championship, I would think it'll be on the line and get done. But I would suggest this match will probably be the semifinal of the show, if not the main event, if there is no NXT Championship match on the card. This will have to be the main event in my eyes, but that's just me. So, yeah, that's the first match that's already been announced for the NXT TakeOver taking place on Valentine's Day. And I'm pretty sure other matches will be added on over the next couple of weeks as they build towards that takeover. So keep an eye on that. Speaking of NXT, I'm afraid I have some good news. NXT caller commentator and former Intercontinental Champion Wade Barrett went to social media to announce that he is now an American citizen. He officially became an American citizen on Friday and took to Twitter to celebrate this momentous occasion for him of him becoming an American citizen. He said, quote, Today, after 13 and a half years of living in this great nation, I have been granted citizenship of the United States. Thank you to and he had the American flag emoji. Thank you, United States, for embracing this Englishman World Cup aside. I will continue to support you in everything you do to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Cheers. And I had a bunch of emojis. Wade Barrett, who was originally from Petwortham, Lancashire, England, is now a United States citizen. So congratulations to Wade Barrett, and just mazel for the man. He's been here for almost 14 years, and now he's a full-on citizen. So awesome stuff for the man who's in real life known as Stu Bennett. So awesome stuff, great stuff. Our semifinal, our penultimate news story has to do with some recent NXT UK signings that were announced by WWE this week. And one of those is a very notable name. And that name is Bailey Matthews from England. Reason why that's a notable name? He's the son of current NXT proper general manager, William Regal. Other signings included Tony Gill, formerly known as Tony Cage from England, Metehan Basoglu, I'm sorry if I butchered that, formerly known as Lucky Kid, or now known as Lucky Kid, from Germany, along with Matthews. There was one other signing that was announced there, but we're going to hold off on that one because it was already revealed on the NXT UK report who that other signing was, a very well-known Japanese legend. So we'll save that for the NXT UK report as part of our weekend review. But some big additions there, and I mean that just adds to what's been already a very booming NXT UK roster with the recent signings such as Rampage Brown, Aaliyah James, Shaw Samuels, and Ben Carter. And now you add this crop, it's like unbelievable. So NXT UK is getting more and more watchable each and every week, and you continue to add these types of names, and it's going to be even better. So there you go. Congratulations to them, and welcome to NXT UK, guys. Finally, the speculation abound as to what's been going on with Alex Shelley. As you know, Alex Shelley was scheduled to be in that main event 6-man tag match at Hard to Kill, along with his Motor City Machine Gun partner, Chris Sabin, along with Rich Swann, to go up against the Good Brothers, the Impact Tag Champions, and the AEW World Champion, Kenny Omega. But that didn't happen because Shelley couldn't make the trip, he said, for unavoidable circumstances. A lot of speculation happened. They thought it was COVID. They thought it was an injury. They thought all of this stuff. Well, Alex Shelley finally has cleared the air. He took to Twitter on Thursday afternoon to reveal the reason why he missed the Hard to Kill pay-per-view and the subsequent tapings that take, I believe, 2 months of content, was because his day job as a physical therapy clinician kept him from working the pay-per-view. Yes, he has a day job, and he couldn't get off his day job. He put out there on social media, quote, "Most days out of the week, I look like this." This is a picture posted on Instagram. He posted a picture of himself and said, "This is what he looks like." He said, quote, "I read theories about why I wasn't at Impact Wrestling for Hard to Kill. They range from injury to illness to getting arrested to harming my family members and attempting to cover it up. I am a physical therapy clinician. Physio is my livelihood and career. Wrestling is my livelihood and passion project. At my company, due to the volume of sick and injured patients we are in care of, we modify our COVID-19 mandates as needed. As numbers went up, so did restrictiveness. To circumvent the topic, I could not be at Hard to Kill due to my career. I respect the decisions made by our company's surgeons and doctors. I look to them for advice and guidance. I am unable to travel and wrestle until I am vaccinated. I took every caution I could before." So basically, end quote. Basically, again, he has a day job and he just couldn't get away from that. So it looks like we're not going to be seeing Alex Shelley in Impact for the foreseeable future. He says at least until he gets vaccinated, which could happen pretty soon. Since he is in the healthcare field, he would probably be on the list to get it first. being that he's in the healthcare field. So he could be vaccinated pretty soon and be back pretty soon, but we shall see. But that was good on to put that out there and to let people know nothing bad happened. It's just that I was working my actual job. And so that's why he couldn't be there. But that's good. Awesome stuff from Alex Shelley. And those are your news and notes for this week. Remember, every week when we kick off the podcast, we do our news and notes. Every week, I seem to forget to ring the bell to start the podcast. Let's do that now. It's like Joe, he'll get right to the podcast, get right rolling, and then forget to do his drop. So it's like, I might as well just do it like that. Well, I mean, it's just like, in a match where it's a grudge match and you get jumped at the start of the match, and you get in the corner like, ring the bell, and you ring the bell. So there you go. Anyway, now let's talk about New Japan this week. Okay, so New Japan, of course, they're on the road to they're on the New Beginning tour, and the New Beginning tour will cap off with a 2-night affair in Hiroshima, but they had a big card on the 30th today, Saturday, that we are recording this and live streaming this. They had a big card with 5, including a main event title match. So we're gonna talk about that in a minute. But the night before, we had New Japan Strong, the second night of the road to Lions Break Contender, and they had a couple good matches here. You had the DKC going up against Clark Connors. The DKC is now a young lion, part of the LA Dojo. So he came out with the black trunks and the black boots. Clark Connors was able to tap him out with the Boston Crab. You had Dirty Daddy, Chris Dickinson, in his first singles match in New Japan, tap out Rocky Romero with the STF. And then in the main event, Leo Rush was able to roll up El Phantasmo to get the 1-2-3 to give his team, himself, TJP, and Fred Frost to the victory over ELP, Hikuleo, and Kenta. But that was not the story of that match. Not just them losing, but then the lights went out, and when it came back on, lo and behold, the IWGP United States Heavyweight Champion, John freaking Moxley, was there, wiping him out. Wiped out ELP with the belt. Wiped out Hikuleo. Fought Kenta and nailed him with the paradigm shift. And then basically said no uncertain words and terms. Whatever means we got to do to get this done, let's get this done. Basically said, listen, you want to fight me for my title? Let's do it. So finally, we're going to most likely get that match. Hopefully, it can get ironed out and it can happen sooner rather than later. Because, guys, I want to see that match more than anything in the world. Kenta and Moxley? Shit me. Let's go. I'm ready for that one. So there you go. That's what happened on Strong on a Friday night. And then literally, it wasn't even 24 hours. Let's see. The show ends around 11. And then this morning's show was at 7. It was at 5:30, which is 3:30. So fucking hell, not even 4.5 hours. About 4.5 hours later, we get a new beginning in Nagoya, at least in the United States. And it opened with Toru Yano and Kazuchika Okada getting a victory over Yujiro Takahashi Evil. We saw an 8-man tag that saw Sho drop Bushi with the shock arrow to get the win for his team of Master Wato, Tomoyaki Homa, and the double champion Kota Ibushi. They defeated the LIJ team of everybody except Shingo because he's in the main event. So basically, that was Hiromu, Tetsuya Naito, and Sonata. In the third matchup, before we went to the intermission, it was a matchup that had no time. It was a grudge match between the Great Okan and Hiroyoshi Tenzan, where the loser would be forced to not use Mongolian chops anymore. And unfortunately, Great Okan was able to hit him with the Eliminator to get the victory. He is now allowed to use Mongolian chops, and Hiroyoshi Tenzan, who's been using them pretty much his entire career, cannot use them anymore. Sucks. So there you go. Next, after the intermission, we had our no disqualification match between Satoshi Kojima and Will Ospreay. And let me tell you something. This was a really just violent match. It was just so freaking violent, but it was so fucking good. Will Ospreay was able to get the victory with the Stormbreaker, and it went almost 17 minutes. It was just 3-second shot, 17 minutes, but it was so good. And Ospreay getting a victory over Kojima. So the United Empire goes 2-0 on the night. So there you go. And that will lead us to our main event for the Never Openweight Championship, 60-minute time limit. The Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, the Dragon, Shingo Takagi. These two men went 35 minutes and 40 seconds, which started off really slow and methodical and just build from there, which is what you want from a main event championship match. They just went at it. And legit, this was my reaction when everything happened. So here's how the match ended. Tanahashi goes up the top, and he hits Shingo with the Aces High, which is his cross body block. Hits with the Aces High, drops Shingo, gets right back up, hops over the rope, goes back up top, and he's going for High Fly Flow. He hits High Fly Flow, and I'm just sitting there, and in my head, I'm like, he's going to kick out, and they're going to keep this going. He's going to kick out. So then the ref counted 2, and when he hit 3, I said, get the fuck out. I literally yelled, get the fuck out of here. He won. Hiroshi Tanahashi is the new and the 32nd never openweight champion. Yes, let me say it again. Hiroshi freaking Tanahashi is the 32nd never openweight champion. He defeated Shingo Takagi in 35 minutes and 40 seconds in what was a thrilling main event, and he didn't have much time to celebrate because looks like he's already got his first challenger. And it's the Great O'Khan came out and attacked him from behind after he had done his air guitar gimmick and was getting ready to close out with his line. Great O'Khan came out, came him from behind, hit him with the eliminator, and took hold of the never openweight title before leaving it at the fallen body of Tanahashi. So it looks like that's going to be his next challenge. It's going to be Tanahashi, Great O'Khan. So there you go. So that's your New Japan news for your New Japan recap for this week. So now it's time to bring Sith back in. There he is. And we're going to get into previewing 2021 Royal Rumble. That's right. The Royal Rumble this year has 6 matches on the card. You have, of course, your 2 traditional Royal Rumble matches for both the men and the women. 30 men and 30 women will be vying for opportunities to be at WrestleMania and fight for a championship. And outside of those 2 matches, we have 4 championship matches to talk about. So we're going to go through each match one by one, analyze, prophesize, all that good stuff before giving a prediction. And then once we're done with predictions, we'll give our preliminary grades on the show as a whole. We will also, as a little bit of challenge that Sif brought to me that I like, is we will also be guessing which 2 superstars, which 2 wrestlers will be making surprise entrants in the Royal Rumble matches for both the men and the women. Now, spoiler alert, I was going to pick Braun Strowman off Bucks until he showed up on Friday, and I was like, well, that's out the window. Shit. So I had to go and pick somebody else. So we're going to get into that right now. Let's talk about it. So the first match I want to talk about is the Women's Tag Team Championship matchup. Asuka and Charlotte Flair defending the championships against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. This is basically their rematch that they said they never got. We all know the story behind this match. We know that, again, Asuka and Charlotte came together as a team at the TLC pay-per-view to take the titles from Nia and Shayna. Prior to that, Nia and Shayna weren't really defending them like that. I mean, they had a rivalry with Dandy. Then they were tormenting Lana. Then they had the little thing with Lana and Asuka. Then they hurt Lana. And then it was just Asuka. And now they got the titles. And now they want them back. And then there's infighting within their team. And there's just so much going on with this entire thing, right? So, Sith, you look at this championship matchup, which I predict is going to end up on the pre-show. I predict that this is going to end up on the pre-show for reasons, including the fact that Charlotte, who's one half of the champions, is in the Women's Royal Rumble match, which is the main event, by the way. What are you seeing when it comes to this matchup in terms of just, everything that's surrounding it as well as the result of what's going to happen?
All right. This is basically a no-brainer for me of a match to predict here. With Lacey Evans in a storyline with Charlotte over her dad, which makes absolutely no fucking sense, but I digress, folks. I really do. And Asuka having to deal with Fiend slash Goth Alexa Bliss. The women's tag team titles are in limbo. They're not being defended because you have two separate storylines involving the tag team champions right now. Gotta love the scatterbrain booking of the women's division. There you go. As much as I would love, as much as I know these stories keep the tag belts in limbo, and although we know that Nia Jax can be a botch artist at times, yeah, I said it. It's a catch-22, but I'm reluctant to say this, but I'm taking Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler to win. However, come WrestleMania, the Riot Squad will dethrone them, and we will actually have a tag team, kind of like the Iconics were, a tag team that'll defend the belts properly. Champ.
So I agree with Sif that I'm also going with Nia and Shayna, and basically all the reasons that he laid out are basically the same reasons that I'm going with them as well. Charlotte's got this whole thing with Lacey. Plus, there is strong speculation that she may win the Royal Rumble again, which means she may end up challenging Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship after they lose the tag titles as, you know, sort of friendly competition, air quotes, before it becomes fierce competition. But I think the situation with Asuka and Alexa may be dead and buried because, you know, at least one thing is that Asuka didn't get pinned by Alexa for the belt. It was a finish that they needed to do. So we'll get into that in our weekend review. We're not going to just jump ahead like that. But I just feel like, yes, this is going to be a short title reign for them. And I think it was just something to give, you know, Charlotte that nod to be Grand Slam because she held the NXT Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships and won a Royal Rumble. So now, hey, let's put tag titles on and really cement her legacy as one of the best women's wrestlers in WWE history. But I think that they're gonna end that dynamic pretty quickly, and Charlotte's gonna go off and deal with Lacey and everything like that. And again, I got to echo Sif, like the storyline with Lacey and Ric Flair makes zero sense, especially given the fact that the WWE has showcased Lacey and her family on their programming prominently. Yet now you have a situation where it seems like she's flirting with a man who, if you follow his social media, you know that man is married. Now, granted, we know his reputation, but I don't think he's that anymore. And I don't think they portray him as such. I mean, his wife dealt with fucking COVID last year. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I don't like this storyline. I think it's absolutely stupid in my opinion. But I'm not a booker, so what do I know? But I'm also going with Nia and Shayna as well to win their belts back. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the WWE Champion, Drew McIntyre and Goldberg going at it. And I'm not even going to beat around the bush here. I see this match going 3 minutes at most. At most, 3 minutes. It's going to go 3 minutes and Drew wins. There's no fucking way in hell I put the title on Goldberg at this stage. Unless they're trying to fulfill some kind of destiny because he's never won the WWE Championship, at which point I think it's fucking stupid. Drew McIntyre is your workhorse. He is there all the time. Your Raw brand is already struggling as is, and he's trying to keep it afloat as the champion. You put that championship on a fucking part-timer, you have just buried that entire fucking show. You can't do that. Drew has been the face of Raw through this entire COVID era, and you don't want to put that. You don't want to go and ruin that by taking the title off him and putting on somebody who only is going to show up a couple times in a couple of months, have his match at WrestleMania, probably drop it to somebody else, and then be gone for like 6 months. You know what I'm saying? He'll be gone for like 6-7 months or something like that. And then he won't pop up again until probably next year, Royal Rumble, when he gets his final two matches in WWE and then goes away for good. Now, don't get me wrong. Goldberg has earned the right to have this kind of schedule. He earned that with the way he navigated through the late '90s and the attitude and the WCW, and then his quick run in WCW and WWE in 2003, 2004. So he earned this. He's a Hall of Famer. But come on, don't just put the title on Goldberg just for the sake of saying he finally won the WWE Championship, because you're going to ruin an already ruined show to the point that nobody's going to watch. The ratings are going to tank, and then you're going to have to do something. And you're not going to be able to do anything because Goldberg has a 2-match contract, and if you want him at WrestleMania, you're going to have to bite the bullet. So WWE, don't make that mistake. I'm picking Drew. And that was a long-winded way of saying I'm picking Drew. Sid, what you got to say?
This is a match that absolutely, positively nobody wants to see at all. Look, love Drew McIntyre, but Goldberg is only around as a star attraction because Vince likes, because Vince thinks Goldberg equals money. I speak for a lot of people when I say that I'd rather see Keith Lee, although he's not going to be there, versus Drew McIntyre. That would be the better draw if it were a perfect world. Now, the dangling carrot is whether or not Miz will cash in, or at least try to win interference with John Morrison. Both are possible scenarios here. As I was thinking during Raw this past week, which was terrible per usual, if there is a cash in and this becomes a triple threat, do not drag out the storyline again. I think McIntyre wins, as Champ said, a 5-minute destroying of Goldberg. Goldberg doesn't even get a jackhammer. He might get a spear, but then he's going to go to Claymore Country and it's over. McIntyre wins.
All right. So we're both on the board, McIntyre. So far we have agreed on 2. Let's see if we differ from this one. We got Sasha Banks defending her SmackDown Women's Championship against Carmella. Now we know what's been going on here. Of course, Mella has already had a shot at the championship. She lost, but then Sasha agreed to give her a match if her sommelier Reginald faced her in a match, and we saw Reginald flippity do around the ring like some kind of freaking Cirque du Soleil performer and shit like that. I mean, I'm just saying. And then, but she ended up beating him, so now she's giving Carmella yet another opportunity at the championship. Sith, your thoughts on this here matchup, sir?
Okay, this match has 3 endgame possibilities here, okay? Let's look at this real quick. 1, Sasha Banks wins clean. Okay. 2, Carmella wins with some assistance, not a lot, from Reginald the sommelier, or Carmella wins flat out dirty with the sommelier Reginald all over the place. Now, the odds of Carmella winning clean are a snowball's chance in hell, because let's just get that straight, because she's a heel. I mean, Carmella's booked as a heel. She always does. Oh, she's involved in a lot of heel shenanigans in her wins. Remember when she won women's Money in the Bank? What happened? A certain individual who's no longer around helped. Yeah, she had help getting that briefcase. But anyway, I just don't see creative keeping the strap on Sasha Banks through WrestleMania season. I'm going with Carmella winning dirty here, as it will protect Sasha Banks. We should be fortunate that Sasha Banks has held the strap for this long, given how creative loves to destroy Sasha, with her winning a belt. But I've sadly got Carmella winning here. Champ?
Seriously. So I'm looking at this another layer. Has Carmella's character done well in this new sort of role? Sure, she has. And does she have Molly that now has gotten physically involved in terms of helping Carmella? Yes. Do Carmella will use all of that to win the SmackDown Women's Championship? Yes. Do I think she wins the SmackDown Women's Championship? No. I'm sticking with Sasha. I WWE understands that with SmackDown there needs to be more consistency in terms of their championships and championship runs than with because Raw. Because with Raw, they have long time reigns going right now. Like Asuka's been the Raw Women's Champion this Sam, right? Well, before SummerSlam, I believe it was. But I know she's been the Women's Champion since the summer. Bobby Lashley's been the U.S. Champion since the summer. Of course, the New Day were long reigning tag champions, but now, of course, they have her business. And of course, Drew McIntyre won his championship back on an episode of Raw before Survivor Series, and he's been champion ever since. So I think they're trying to do more in terms of having long title reigns that they mean something, and not just have short reigns. And Sasha's reign is relatively short when you think about it. So I can't, in good conscience, say that Sasha loses this, especially not to Carmella, not at this stage. I mean, Carmella still needs more time with that character to develop before I think she could be the face of the women's division on that brand. So I'm going with Sasha. I think Sasha will be the woman that wins this and keeps that championship. Okay, let's talk about the only other championship match on here, and of course, it involves my boss Roman and Owen fight. Of course, we're talking about Roman Reigns and Owens for the Universal Championship. Last man standing. I don't think I need to explain any more than that. Just to say it's Roman all the way. Nothing against KO. Nothing against KO. I swear to you, nothing against KO. But I just don't see Roman losing the belt at the height that he's in right now. He's at an astronomical height as this mob boss heel. The shit he said on that promo on SmackDown, and we're going to get into it, so I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to save that. But the way he's been carrying his character since his return in the summertime, this is tailor-made for him to go the way to WrestleMania. And there's another prediction I have, but I'm going to save it when we talk about the Royal Rumble matches. But I think that he wins this one here. He wins this one here. It'll be the third one. You can get Kevin out here and go have him do something else. But I like the fact that Kevin's been in the championship scene these last couple of months. It's well deserved, especially given the fact that, all the stories that have been coming out about him, going to Vince to let him know that he wasn't comfortable being at the Performance Center with people walking around not wearing masks during the early parts of the pandemic, and that he threatened to just go home back to Tennessee if something didn't change. And it led to change where everybody walking around wearing masks at the Performance Center, now at the Thunderdome and things of that nature. And so he's being important and he's getting this little push. I like it. So I like Kevin's the scene, but no, it's going to be Roman. Sith?
Okay. The Universal Championship is not going to change hands at the Royal Rumble at all. And this is not a detriment to Kevin Owens. We're seeing the best work for Roman Reigns, and KO has been solid in this feud/story. Now, this is an intriguing way to build a bridge to prepare for the road to WrestleMania. I too am going with my boss Roman, the tribal chief, the head of the table, with some time shenanigans, of course, but this is going to be a wild ending to this feud. Believe that. Some will complain that Jake could interject himself yet again, but remember, back in the day of the Four Horsemen, we had this happen. It was routine, and it worked with the audience. My boss Roman takes the W here.
I forgot to add one more thing here. Is that I feel like my boss Roman's going to win, and Uso is going to. That's it right there. All right, let's talk about the Royal Rumble. Of course, the Royal Rumble is the 30-man match. We got to go over the top rope. Both feet hit the floor. Trust me, folks, y'all listening, get used to this Cole and whoever else on these matches are going to be saying a lot of times. Bring that. Trust me, as Cole say, he's going to fornicate the poo out of that line during those matches. So you might as well get used to hearing the match because they're going to say it a million times. But anyway, we got 30 minutes. The winner gets a shot at their championship of their choice at WrestleMania. With the men because the main event. And before we get into the Royal Rumble itself and picking a winner, first what we're going to do is the thing that makes the Rumble special is those surprise entrants. Whether it be NXT call-ups, whether it be returning superstars. We love when that happens. Now, it's going to be a little because you're not going to get that pop from the crowds because the crowds are virtual and hyped in. So you're not going to get the big pops like you normally do with a big return or, a big debut or something like that. But we felt, let's speculate. Who will possibly make a surprise and be a surprise entrant in this year's Royal Rumble? I think the biggest surprise we got from last year's was, of course, the return of MVP, as well as the shocking return of Edge. I mean, that clip of him returning and the reactions from that are still being seen to this very almost over a year later. So I begin with Sith. Really quickly, Sith, who are your two that you think are going to be surprise entrants in the Royal Rumble?
The two. I've got 2 men and 2 women that are surprise entrants.
We'll only do the men now. We'll do the women when we get to the women.
Men? Okay.
Yeah.
Number 1, T-Bar from Retribution will be there.
T-Bar from Retribution. Okay.
Yes, sir. And someone who's going to go back down to NXT this week, Karrion Kross, because they had a very cryptic tweet with him going up against John Cena at WrestleMania, and he said, WWE, make it happen.
Well, I don't. I wouldn't use that as a reason to think he's going to be in the Royal Rumble if he wants to wrestle Cena because Cena's not a champion. So I don't think that connects really. But I like that though. I like maybe Karrion Kross being in the Royal Rumble. I think that would be pretty cool. And Karrion Kross and T-Bar. So yeah, I like that. Okay, cool. Here are my two. My number one, I think is going to be Damian Priest. He's been off TV for a while. I know he was supposed to face Karrion Kross at some point, but I think they've taken him off of NXT TV to move him up to the main roster. I think it's kind of messed up. Like that means there's no finality to that whole situation. Karrion Kross. There's no match. It's just he beat his ass. Now he's gone. That's not the way to end that, right? So yeah, I think that this will be a one-off appearance before he leaves NXT. He finishes with Karrion Kross and then goes to the main roster. So that's my one, and my second I think is going to be Bronson. Because you need those big beefy boys in there for the commentators to say, "Now how's I throw him over the top rope?" And then he ends up getting thrown over the top anyway. So I think he's another guy on the rise. And it would be a really shocking all thing to see him coming out there and being in the Royal Rumble, just doing it. So awesome. So my two are Damian Priest and Bronson Reed. Those are my picks to be surprise entrants. But here's the most important part of this bit. Sith, who's winning and why?
Right now, I know that some people are going to say main event Jay. And I like that prediction. If you're predicting that in your poll, I dig it. The pick from the basement is Big E. Yes, Big E will win the Royal Rumble in my view. We're going to see at the Showcase of Immortals, Big E versus Mob Boss Roman, in the start of a huge storyline between the two. I think that a couple of years ago was Kofi Mania. This is the year of Big E. And it starts at the Royal Rumble. Big E wins. Champ.
That's an interesting pick. I'm going another route. I've been seeing what's going on Smackdown with this individual, and it's all tailor-made that I gotta pick him to win the Rumble. And I'm talking about Daniel Bryan because there's been all this talk. He's done this, he's done that, all of this, but he's never won the Royal Rumble. He's never won the Royal Rumble. So I'm picking him for that. But I have a feeling that WWE are gonna fuck me in the ass with this, and they're gonna have him be in the final four, maybe the final three, maybe be right there, and then get eliminated last freaking second. And then one's going to be that Daniel Bryan hasn't won the Royal Rumble. But I'm going to confidently pick Daniel Bryan as the Royal Rumble. But I feel like WWE is going to fuck me on this one. I really do. They always seem to fuck us on this type of shit. But I'm definitely going with Daniel Bryan. Now, let's talk about women. We know women that are in it. But I want to know from you, Sith, what two young ladies are going to be surprised in this?
Someone that I believe got hosed last year is not only going to be in the Royal Rumble, but is going to the main roster. Rhea Ripley. That's right. Rhea Ripley. Because a lot of people, myself included, think that she got the short end of the stick last year after the Royal Rumble when Charlotte won, then came over to NXT to help juice up ratings, and it didn't work. Matter of fact, that was one of the biggest failures of last year, but I'm beyond that now. And I think for one night, to give the main roster a taste of the future, Io Shirai comes in. Yes, it's time for the goddess of the sky to show up, have a little fun, and just give y'all a little bit of a taste, for those who don't watch NXT, as to what's your future of the main roster if they decide to allow Io Shirai in, or if Io gets asked, hey, you want to go up? And she says yes. There you go. Champ.
I like that. I like Goddess of the Sky. I really like that moniker, except she's known as the genius of the sky. But I like Goddess, though. I like that. Anyway. You were spot on with Rhea, because that was who I picked as well, was Rhea Ripley. Because she's on her way up to the main roster. I mean, there's nothing else for her in NXT. So that, I hate the fact one in the main roster. I feel like the main roster is going to ruin the fuck out of her. That's just me. Yeah, Rhea Ripley is number one. And my number two is someone we have not seen for a very, very long time. Someone who also made, after a very long absence, made their return very much last year. Ladies and gentlemen, you feel the go, because my number two is Naomi. She's gone a long time. This is the perfect time to bring her back and then get her in something, right? So Rhea Ripley and Naomi, I feel, are going to be the two that'll be into this Rumble for the women in this event. But if
my winner, and I said this last week and I'm sticking by it, is not Charlotte. Nope. Sorry, Vince. Gonna have to take your little dream of having Charlotte winning everything, give it a back seat. This is the year of Bianca Belair. Okay? Now, it was a toss-up for me when I was working this out earlier today of Bianca Belair and Alexa Bliss. But I think that Bianca Belair challenges for the SmackDown Women's title as this is the year for the EST of WWE. Because Alexa doesn't need the W here. Because she will be pushed to beat Asuka. And if Charlotte wins, I'm just going to lose it tomorrow night on the live stream. I'm going to blow it. I'm going to drop a fucking bollock. Jam.
So again, we agree on something. I also am picking Bianca Belair to win the Royal Rumble, and what momentum she has coming off beating the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion in history in Bayley, clean as a sheet too. By the way, I think that's a sign that it is Bianca's time, and I think she will go after. I think her and Sasha are going to have a banger of a match for that SmackDown Championship. I wouldn't even be surprised if Sasha loses to Bianca Belair at WrestleMania, becomes SmackDown Women's Champion and whatnot, and she becomes the face of the division for SmackDown. I think she would do my opinion. So I'm also picking Bianca Belair. All right, the last bit of this little segment before we move on to our week in review for this week is our preliminary grades. Now, I will explain to you, for any new listeners out there, how I do my preliminary grades. I base it off of the card itself, the stories behind all the matches, and what my expectations are. That comes up with my grade. And it's preliminary, and it can go up or down to what happens during. You will have to watch the live stream to see when my grade goes up and when it goes. We come back with our final grades on next week's episode. So I'm giving this card. So just based on looking at it, I'm giving this preliminary show. I'm giving this show a preliminary grade of B. And it's nothing against them. I just feel like with the Royal Rumbles, they're going to be going in knowing who's number one and number two. And we're going to be knowing who's going to be number 30 in the Women's Royal Rumble match between Natalya and Tamina. So that takes away a bit of the excitement of, who's starting, who's going to be the last person in on the women's side. That kind of takes away from that to me. But, the match is strong. They have story behind it. They have long rivalries like KO and Reigns with Sasha Carmella. Of course, the women's tag title match. And, of course, the brewing story with Goldberg and Drew that started out with a promo of something that Drew never said. But either way, I mean, it's a strong pay-per-view. I think it's a B pay-per-view. But, again, once the action starts, we'll see where it goes from there. So I'm giving it a preliminary grade of B.
Okay. The way I do my grading system is I base it on the card itself, my expectations, and how it's been built. Okay? And let's be totally candid here. Raw has been shit of late. I mean, let's be totally honest here with the booking of it. SmackDown has been the solid A show of the two, and honestly, just with the previous two pay-per-views, WWE is banking on the thematic matches to really carry the load here with the last man standing match as well as the two classic Rumble matches. Rest in peace, Pat Patterson, who created the Royal Rumble match. McIntyre versus Goldberg, I agree with Champ, it shouldn't last more than 5 minutes, as we know that Goldberg isn't any good after 5 minutes. I don't like the forced booking of Jackson Baszler in a tag match with Charlotte and Asuka either. I do like Carmella versus Sasha Banks. I'm with Champ here. Preliminaries of B with the potential to drop down into the C's or up to B plus, A minus territory, all depending on how things shake out and what surprises are in store for the Royal Rumble matches. So my suggestion for all of y'all is to go on to Twitch tonight. Well, tomorrow night, if you're here on the live stream now, or tonight if you're catching us on audio, join us on Twitch, because what we're doing with all these matches is we start off with with our preliminary grades. And after every match, we ask each other, did your grade go up, down, or stay? And that'll give you all an indication of what our final grades could be if you're with us through the night. Champ?
Yeah, so make sure you guys go on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/True. Just make sure you follow and notifications are on, because Twitch is very good. They notify anybody when this, hey, this is now live. That way you can jump on there and add things like that. And if we start putting up like a follow viewers, we might end up becoming like affiliated, and then you can get subscriptions and nice little stuff there for our thing, for the review reactions. Maybe even take the podcasts there along with Facebook and YouTube. Who knows? We're trying to be out there. I don't know what else you want me to say. We're trying to be out there. All right, so that's it. We'll come to you again. It'll be 6:25 of their pre-show match, which I'm assuming it will be, and it'll probably be the women's tag title match. But if not, we will come to you at 6:55 to give a quick 5-minute preview of the show and everything like that. Breaking news that comes in, things of that nature. Right, Monday. Let's talk about the week in review in our After Falls format. It's really fun to do. It's been really fun to do. I'll say that much, because you really got to take a show that may have Dark, for example. That show has like 13 to 15 matches. You literally got to find 5 things out of 15 matches that stood out to you, either good, bad, or different, and then present it to someone, and then not pick 2 good and 1 bad. It makes you think. Again, the great thing about it is that none of us share these with each other until we're here. We don't know each other and say, okay, these are my 5. What are your 5? It makes you think on the fly and remember and analyze what you saw, right? So it's really good. It's really good. So let's start with Raw. And I kind of figured last week we said it was hard to find 5 bits that were either good, bad, or indifferent even into this platform, but we know what, and we did. This week was even harder. But somehow I found 5 bits to give to Seth to see which 2 we thought were good and which one was bad. And I'm sure Seth has his 5. I'm pretty sure it wasn't easy, but he got his 5. So Seth, I'm going to kick this off and give you your 5. Are you ready, sir?
Sir, let's get it on, my brother.
Okay. Number 1. That face-off between Drew McIntyre and Goldberg, which included a tease cash-in from The Miz and then a beatdown of The Miz and Morrison by Goldberg and by Drew before one final stare-off before it ended. That's number 1, the face-off. The number 2, that women's match that started off with Charlotte versus Shayna before it turned into before it became a tag match, and then a 6-man tag, and all that stuff, which included a botch, 2 botches actually, a botch count out and a botch finish. So that women's match with those 2 restarts and the 2 botches. Riddle running the Hurt Business gauntlet, defeating Shelton Benjamin, defeating MVP really fast, and then defeating Ced at the end to get a shot at the United States Championship. Riddle running the gauntlet. Number 4. Edge's promo where he announced that he is entering the Royal Rumble match. Remember that Edge has won the Royal Rumble match before, but he looks like he wants to try to win it again. But he had a very impassionate promo about it. So there you go. Edge's promo. And then finally, the main event of the show. Oh, what was the main event of the show? I can't remember.
Now you head down here. Asuka versus
Alexa
Bliss.
That's right. Yes, Asuka Alexa Bliss Raw Women's Championship match, which was really good. We saw Alexa transform, and when it looked like she was going to win, she got RKO'd out of nowhere, leading to a disqualification and leading to Randy Orton standing over top of her like some lunatic. So those are your 5. The face-off between Drew and Goldberg, the women's match that had 2 restarts and 2 botches, Riddle running the Hurt Business Gauntlet, Edge's promo announcing he's in the Royal Rumble, and Asuka versus Alexa for the Raw Women's Championship. Sith, the floor is yours.
Okay, champ, I've got some good news, my brother. You gave me 2 segments that I actually liked.
Good.
Edge's promo. Okay. Anything Edge does in the ring is worth it for someone like me. Because, as we all know, back in 2011, he said, look, my neck's fucked up. I got to retire. Matter of fact, to promote the pod right before we went live, I found the gif of him coming in to making his surprise entrance last year at number 17, which gave me and Champ goosebumps. Literally, it still does. This isn't as good as him just showing up tomorrow, but I understand the reasoning because you don't have a live audience to have that major pop. But still, it works for me. And also, I'd have to say Asuka versus Alexa Bliss because it was a predictable finish. This is what happens when you have a champion that is involved in a storyline with someone who's involved in another storyline. Okay? And I get the anger and disgust over the ending. I do. But those were the only 2 things I really enjoyed from Raw this week for the most part. As far as the worst, holy God, you make this difficult, champ, just like I made difficult on you last week. And I'm going to say the shit show that was originally Charlotte versus Shayna, which turned into a DQ. Then the 6-woman tag that had a botched count out because it was legit, but it wasn't supposed to end that way. And then the botched powerbomb at the end, courtesy of Nia Jax. Now, thankfully, Dana Brooke isn't seriously injured, but this was just complete trash right here. And just brings back what Champ and I both agreed on back when there was a rumored report that people were going back to the Performance Center and some are being, reportedly, they're being sent back to work safer. Well, why don't you send Nia Jax back there a couple of days a week? Because this is trash. Champ?
All right, before Sif gives me his 5 bits, first off, the finish with Asuka and Alexa wasn't predictable. It was just basically what they had to do in order to protect Asuka, but also, so I wouldn't say predictable. I think it was just be done to both win. In my secondly, I bet I need to be sent back on she's unsafe, and then she had the nerve to be on social media and saying, "Oh, some of this," and tagging or complaining about the fact put a felt in and to me when own up to it, and it's becoming a problem. Oh, hey, we got Hector in the building, and he's instead of Sid, please. What do you mean? What 5 for me?
Okay, my good sir. My five for you are Mustafa Ali's promo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The gauntlet match involving Riddle. Still can't believe they just call him Riddle now. And the Hurt Business.
Mm-hmm.
Sheamus versus John Morrison, which later turned into a handicap match. Edge's promo.
Mm-hmm.
And Mace versus Xavier Woods. Champ, your five, my good sir.
It was Slapjack, actually.
Slapjack, my bad.
Okay, I guess he does. He mainly anyway. Yeah. Okay. All right. Ed Straight is number one. Philton, what he was trying to convey, all the emotions and things like. All the way around, it's a real way to, so straight away, and the second one was definitely Sheamus and Jomo. They really put on a better of a matchup before Miz got involved. And it turned into a hand, and it kind of lost. It was kind of lost on me. Most really solid outing for them, even though the fact that Miz won. Joe Sheamus was a freaking great show. I mean, great match. I'm telling you, dude. Really enjoyed it. So there you go. Those are my two. I think my one bad bit would be Slapjack versus Xavier. It's funny because T-Bar and Mace are able to be Xavier, but they're bigger guys. The Slapjack goes in there and just gets his ass whooped. Though they're still able to get the drop on Xavier, and Xavier from Ali really good. But Slapjack was for me in terms of the match. But that's just me. All right, let's move on. All right. Damn, Hector's watching. Hey, Hector, hold on. Are you watching on both YouTube and Facebook? Because if you are, you're a legend.
Dude, Hector, what's going on, man?
Oh yeah. YouTube, and now I'm in on Facebook. So I'm like, wait, is he watching on both? Don't get me wrong. Both of them on here. All right. On the dark. Let's move on to W Dark this week. Had a bunch of matches. We had a nice little segment on there, and we also got some entertaining commentary as well. We actually had 6 women's matches on this card. So, Sith, let's start with you. Give me your 5 bits, please. Pause.
Okay, you're going to like this, hopefully. -1 on commentary.
Okay.
Let's see here. Santana and Ortiz. They made a very solid, type thing there. Abaddon versus Vixen. Ray Phoenix versus Baron Black. SCU versus Terrence and Terrell Hughes, Reverend Devon Sons. And Fuego del Sol versus Miro, the best man.
-1 commentary is top. My kid only like 8, 9 years old. He get a tape. This thing he does sell like Scout. Shut up. It's just happy. It's Twitter Day. Like, Scout. It was amazing. The matches he was commentating. It was absolutely amazing. It's just so awesome just to see this kid and be embraced, given the fact that his father is no longer with. By the way, AEW Unrestricted actually had a exclusive interview with Brody Lee's Will Huber, and according to Edward on her, they asked her if they're going to need shoes, and her that comment will most certainly you will. Because according to Tran, she outlined in full detail to the John Huber, aka Brody's death from this lung issue. So yeah, I need like a drink or 3 to listen or watch because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to hold my emotion. Number one, so next one's commentary straight number one. My good bit number one. Good bit number was definitely Ray Phoenix, Baron Black. Those two went out there and absolutely killed it. Absolutely killed it. Just absolutely went out there and did their thing, especially Baron Black. Baron Black, I think Baron gets enough credit with the way he performs in the ring. I don't think it's enough credit. We all know Ray Phoenix is, and right now Ray Phoenix will be on his own for a while because Penta's out. They say it's with injury, but apparently it's something else due to a visa he's dealing with. So it might be part of the end of this issue. We don't know, but either way, he's out for a bit. So Ray's on his own. But we know that Ray be a good single competitor. I mean, he's shown that. So I'm sure that he's going to give some really good matches. So those are my 2 bits. What am I going to pick a bad bit here? What's the other 3? I've already said -1 commentary and Ray. Oh, no. Okay. So what's the other 3? Remind me.
Abaddon for Vixen.
Right.
Santana and Ortiz. Their promo. And the best man, Miro versus Fuego del Sol.
I hate to do this, but it's Abaddon. I hate it. The only reason why is because, they made her look so dominant against Sheeta. Yeah, she didn't win the championship. I'm just pulling. I'm kind of straw here. I'm only going that one. Tom Powers' promo was awesome, and Miro was supposed to still like that. I mean, Fuego del Sol is Fuego del Sol. Was a living beat the out of me. Did so elimination. And I was matched with Perfect as the bit. Okay. All right, yeah. Hector is watching them both, trying to. Dude, so Hector, I'm gonna give you a tip. I'm gonna give you a tip, bro. If you have, I don't know what your cable provider is, but I know if you have Verizon Fios, you can actually what is that? What is it called? What do they call it? You can cast YouTube to your TV if you have Verizon Fios. You cast it to your TV, and then you can watch. You do it on your phone, and then you can watch Facebook on your phone, and then that way you have it on both. Just a little tip there. Anyway, you're 5 bits there, Sith. Versus Baron Black. The Pretty Peter Avalon's walk-on segment featuring Shotty Lee Johnson. -1's commentary. Powerhouse Hobbs being in the main event in what was essentially a squash. And all 6 women's matches on the card. Those are your 5.
My top is -1 on commentary. The kid is a savage. I was in tears from laughing my ass off. I mean, I know Champ probably was too, but literally, this kid's only 9 years old. Imagine what he's going to be like doing promos and shit at 18 and becoming a superstar. I mean, this is just great. All right. I'd have to say Ray Phoenix versus Baron Black was also awesome. And Ray Phoenix showing Baron Black respect because Baron Black gave him a solid run for his money there. A lot of people didn't notice that because they were like, okay, match is over. I'm going to go ahead, go dip out for a second. But Ray Phoenix shows a lot of respect towards people after a match these days, and that's really good shit. The bad thing's a reach, and that's the women's matches. And I said it's a reach, okay? And the only reason I have a problem, and Champ, I think you'll echo this with me, Abaddon's entrance with the fake blood coming out. We're still in a pandemic, man. And that just doesn't sit right with me. You know, I realize it's her gimmick. I realize that I dig it. But Champ and I watch these pay-per-views and these shows, and there's certain things you don't want to see right now in this age of COVID. You don't want to see fake blood coming out of someone's mouth on their way to the ring. Not during COVID, no.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, and that's a reach because I enjoyed Dark all the way through this week, but that just don't sit right with me, dog.
Right. Yeah, I will say though, as sort of the end of the walkout was pretty entertaining until Bernoni got part of it. And I'm just like, what does he have to do with this now? So hopefully explain that on the number 2 arc of what the relationship is between Avalon and Six. We have not seen on Dynamite even or anywhere for quite a while. So yeah, that should be interesting. A couple comments from. I'm not going to put them on the screen. Close down the screen a little bit. He said, "Wait, Brody Drew was on commentary. Yes, he was 2 matches for Ty Khan's match, and for the match after that, I can't remember what match that was, but on for Ty's match and the one after that. Oh no, he was on for both dark matches. Ty Conti, who's not really in the Dark Order, but Dark Order and Chase, and then the 10 match. So there you go. It's Dark AEW's version of WWE Superstars, which I'm watching right now through WWE's YouTube. Yes, I think it is. Because I remember watching Superstars back in the day, and it was a lot of established wrestling facing enhanced talent. With 1 or 2 matches where established stars each other. So I do think he's muted. Hello, Seth.
Yep, I remember Superstars back in the day.
Do you think Dark is AEW's version of that? Asking Hector's asking.
Hey Hector, what's up, fam? How you doing? I'd say yeah. He's got a valid point there because it's got that feel that it does feel like watching Superstars in a way. You have your usual prototypical main events where you might have, say, the Varsity Blondes versus Jurassic Express, something like that. But the irony is that this is like Superstars from back in the day, but also it's better than 3 hours of fucking Monday Night Raw these days.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. All right, a couple more comments from Hector before we move on to Impact. He says he has the LG Style 5 and a Lineal Chromebook, so he's using 2 laptops to watch this. That's dope. Well, considering who Negative One's father was, I wouldn't be surprised in the savagery department. Facts. Abaddon's entrance reminds me of here's something a lot of fans probably won't recognize. Judas Messias entrance during his TNA days.
Ooh.
You remember that dude, right?
Yes,
I remember that dude. Oh, and Hector says he's good. How about you, brother? He's asking how you doing.
I'm doing great, brother. Doing good.
Okay,
doing good. Oh, and that reminds me, on Pluto TV, they actually have a TNA channel on Pluto, which is a free TV thing, where they have a TNA channel where they show old TNA Impact pay-per-views.
Nice. I'm actually currently following their Twitch channel. Actually, I have yet to go on and like really watch some stuff, but I follow the Twitch channel. It's pretty cool. All right. Speaking of Impact, look at that segue. Fucking hell. Fucking hell, that was dope. We talk about Impact. Impact was a pretty good show. You had all kinds of different things. You had a return, a shocking return, another in-ring debut, and some other shenanigans. So, Sith, here we go. Let's start with you. Here we go. First, the unexpected and very, very surprising return of Trey Miguel, who everybody thought was going to follow his brothers to WWE, and he did. He came back home. That's number one. Number two, the supposed celebration of the new Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Fire and Flavor, the Fire and Flavor Festival. Easy for me to say, Jesus Christ. The Fire and Flavor Fest. That's number two. Number three, Matt Cardona's in-ring debut on Access in a tag team match with Josh Alexander. Eddie Edwards versus Brian Myers, which ended in disqualification because Eddie lost his fucking mind and decided to bite somebody until they drew blood in the middle of a pandemic. Right. And then finally, Cousin Jake versus Joe Doring, with Joe Doring getting the victory, plus what happened after the match, where it seemed like Eric Young told his troops to back off when they wanted to continue jumping Cousin Jake. And it seems like he's inviting Cousin Jake to possibly join Violent by Design. So those are your five. Return of Trey Miguel, the Fire and Flavor Festival Fest, Matt Cardona's in-ring debut on Access, Eddie Edwards versus Brian Myers, and Cousin Jake versus Joe Doring, plus the aftermath of that match. If you please.
Oh, the main event where Trey Miguel shows up. Oh, man, that was awesome. Please, Trey, I'm making a plea to Trey Miguel right now. Trey, look, I don't know if you're signed long-term back with Impact. I don't know if what reportedly happened in the dirt sheets between you and Triple H caused animosity where you don't want to go to WWE. Look, man, either please stay in Impact, work with New Japan, or work with AEW or Ring of Honor. But please do not go to that place in Connecticut, because this was a great way to end the night. And look, Shamrock's going to get some shit for attacking the ref post-match, but do y'all really think Shamrock gives a fuck? Do ya? If you do, guess what? He doesn't. I enjoyed the Fire and Flavor celebration for a reason, because Havoc and Nagoya came in and just destroyed it. Oh my God. You know, now I'm going to say this again. They need to scale back how they're portraying Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz here. They need to scale it down a bit. You know, and we talked about it last week, and I stand by it. I mean, really saying that I'm telling the official no refund deal. Come on. That went a little too far, but I enjoyed the celebration, though, because the celebration got crazy really, really quick, went off the rails, and then Havoc and Nagoya came in. That was just really wild. But the bad thing, and again, it's a health thing, and that's Brian Myers versus Eddie Edwards with what happened, with the breaking of blood and everything. I like seeing the vengeful Eddie Edwards back and all, but they went too far. But it's a reach because I enjoyed Impact overall.
Gotcha. Yeah. The Fire and Flavor Festival for me was just way too chaotic. It was definitely chaotic, and it was what it was. That's what it is. All right, what are your 5 bits? And then we got some comments from Hector to talk about as well. So what do you got?
Fucking A. Tennille Dashwood versus Rosemary.
Okay.
Matt Cardona and Josh Alexander versus Madman Fulton and Ace Austin.
Okay.
The main event, which turned into absolute bedlam.
Okay.
Matt Hardy is an agent. Oh man.
Right.
and I got a question for you. This is your fifth. Rohit Raju was talking to somebody. Who do you think that is? That's your fifth.
Okay, so the main event straight away is number one. I mean, everybody was getting this shit off, especially Trey. Like, got in there legally, like it's out of a freaking can. Absolutely amazing. Just good to see him back in Impact. If you thought when he came out for that last match on the tears flowing, everything like that, I figured he's never coming back to Impact. He's done, and then all of a sudden he's back and he's helping those guys. It was great. So that's number one. Number two, I would have to say Rosemary and Teal. And with one is, it just seems like now Rosemary is no longer shackled with Taya Valkyrie and united with Crazy, even reunited. It seems like it's a new push. It's a new push for her, and maybe she the next. She can really challenge Impact Knockout Champ and Donna Perazzo. And knowing she has crazy side, like sort of problems for Lee and Susan. So there you go. I think my bet is Rohit Raju because I even remember that bit. That's how it didn't hit because I don't remember it. I don't remember what was going on there. So yeah, that's gonna be my bad bit because
that was off screen, and I think I knew who it was.
Well, see, again, my thing is this: is that if I don't remember it, then it obviously didn't hit the way it should have. If I don't remember it, so that's why it's gonna be a bad bit. Because if it hit, I would remember it, and I don't remember it. Mm-hmm. But one last thing before we get into the comments from Brother Hector is that in terms of Havoc, I learned 4 things about Havoc recently. I've learned 4 things from Havoc following her Twitch channel, and she's actually streaming right now. Fucking hell, I can't talk. One, she likes to play a lot of video games where she can kill people. Number 2, what's number 2? She cusses a lot. She has a mouth sailor, which is cool. Number 3, she likes medicinal. And if you don't know what medicinal is, look it up in the Urban Dictionary and you'll learn. But she likes the medicinal. And number 4, she's messing with Sami Callihan, and apparently he rage screams a lot when he plays games. Because I was on a stream of hers last night, and all I kept hearing is him in the background. I was like, dude, somebody's got to get that as a soundbite and put that in there for bits. That would be funny. All right, let's look at some of these comments. He's got a lot of comments here. So Hector does agree that Dark is better than Raw. He also has Pluto and AAA shows as well. That's cool. His number one good bit was Trey returning, but with his blonde hair, it legit took him a second to notice who he was before they announced him. Right, he did change his hairstyle up. So it was like, who is this dude? Oh shit, really? He laughed his butt off during the Fire and Flavor celebration because it completely went off the rails, like Sid said. He's shocked that Eddie drew blood. He's like, must have looked away for a minute because I didn't catch that. Yeah, he drew blood. He bit him and he drew blood. They kind of didn't try to focus on it, but yeah, he did draw blood. Let's see. David Penzer is an awesome announcer, like how Finkel was for WWF back in the day. He got kind of voice in TNA. Glad they went back. I like David Penzer. He was definitely he tried to get to that point of being the voice of WCW, but I think Gary Michael Capetta had him beat there. But David Penzer did a good job in WCW, right? And then final comment. Maybe was Rahit maybe talking to Great Gama. I don't know. We'll see. All right, we're done with Tuesday night. We're finally it's time to hit hump day. We're gonna start off talking about AEW Dynamite. This is the Dynamite that was taped the week prior. As you know, they're going into beach break with a live show, and then they're gonna record all for next week's that following week's show and all that good shit. You know, they're gonna do all that shit. All right, let's talk about Dynamite. Sis, what are your 5 bits for me to talk about, and then I'll give you your 5.
All right. A. Arn Anderson bringing up the birth of Cody during the response to Shaq. So that whole promo segment. The Varsity Blondes, they had a really cool match against NJF and Chris Jericho. Hangman Adam Page versus Ryan Nemeth. Jungle Boy versus Dax Harwood. And Britt Baker versus Shayna.
Jungle Boy versus Dax Harwood, immediately number 1. I mean, what a fucking match that was, wasn't it? Fucking hell. That's such a match. Oh my God. And I try not to say good, great match and use it lightly because, you know, everybody was just to use those adjectives, but that was just everything about that match was just quality. Everything about that match was quality, and the fact Jungle Boy won is even more of a testament to the fact they're really trying to make Jack Perry, son of the late Luke Perry, a star. AEW, they're trying to make stars. They're trying to do what WWE's done in a long time, and that's create stars. And that's what they're doing with Jungle Boy. And the sad day that he breaks away from Jurassic Express, it'll be sad, but it'll be great because he'll move on and be something special. So that's my number 1. My number 2 would have to be Shana. They absolutely put on a very, very fine performance in the ring. I just hate the fact that matches like these women's matches, they tend to do a lot of picture-in-picture in almost all of them, and I hate that because it takes away from the match and momentum that they're building. That they go picture-in-picture, and now they go picture-in-picture, then they turn around and go to a full commercial, and then back, and it's like, fuck. You know? But not only was the match fine, but the aftermath was even better when she went back to put the light on again. Rose chased them up, and I mean, when I say she chased them off, like, them two chicks literally ran. Like, they wasn't like walking and being like, ha ha ha. Like, they were running fucking scared. they was out of there. They said, nah, we out, champ. Like, we get so yeah, those are my two good bits, yeah. My bad bit. Fuck. My bad bit. What's the other 3? You remind me exactly.
Okay, Varsity Blondes versus Jericho and MJF.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You did that. Jungle Boy Dax Harwood, I think you covered that. Hangman Page versus Ryan Nemeth.
Mm-hmm.
And Arn Anderson's promo with Cody, along with, you know, Shaq, Jade Cargill, Red Velvet, etc.
This is a reach, but I'm going to go with that one, Arn Anderson, because even though he mentioned it, it was a lot of rambling, which I hate to be that way to Arn. He's a legend, he's a Hall of Famer, but he rambled in his promo. Now, let's be honest, and I'm going to be completely honest. Arn Anderson wasn't the best on the microphone. He wasn't the best. No, he was pretty good on the microphone. He just wasn't he was a pretty decent wrestler, but he was pretty decent on the microphone. So, you know, now he's up there in his old age, like yeah. But I get the sentiment. He's mentioning that, you know, Dusty had a match and then literally made it back home just in time to be born, and now he's got plenty of time before his child is born. He needs to do this match. I get it, just was dropped too long. So that would be my bad bit, is that right? you. The opening match between Eddie Kingston and Lance Archer, which included Jake Roberts being brought out. Looks like he was beaten up. We know he wasn't, but yeah, he was beaten up, and it was distracting for Lance, which led to Kingston's victory. So, hitting a picture perfect lion salt, and then pinning Griff Garrison, no, Brian Pillman Jr., and then looking at the camera smiling. Because he knew that he saw the internet scuttlebutt about that lion salt that he fucked up last week. Okay. Now, number 3, the Dark Order's performance in the main event against the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks. And 4, Jungle Boy versus Dax Harwood. And number 5, the participants in the upcoming street fight and their promo segments. That'd be Darby Allin and Sting's promo, and then the beatdown that Team Taz gave to some people at a random merch table outside. Those are your 5. Kingston versus Archer, Jericho's lion salt, that was picture perfect, Dark Order's performance in the main event, Jungle Boy versus Dax Harwood, and street fight participant segments that took place on the show.
All right, let's cut to the chase here, folks. Young Bucks versus and Good Brothers versus Dark Order. That's my number 1. All right, now, y'all can give me some shit about this. Dark Order lost. So fucking what? Okay? This was to build to make the Young Bucks and Good Brothers look as though they're headed for a collision course with Don Callis painting the seeds of dissension between the Elite and the Bullet Club. That's what this is all about here. Dark Order was not hurt by this loss at all, and they're easily getting over. They're just not in the heart of this current storyline. And I have a hope of this idea of AEW Impact working together as long-term, with Impact getting time on TNT weekly as a show. If Anthem Sports could work it out, imagine the ratings boost. It would be golden. You make this difficult, homie, because I enjoyed everything you mentioned. But I'd have to say Archer versus Kingston, the opening match. To use a term from Champ, fucking opening promo. We open it with 2 beasts slapping meat and just beating the fuck out of each other. That's what this was. You know, forget having people outside the ring for the most part to start. We're going one-on-one here. My type of opening match. Yeah, there was outside interference with the Kingston family at the end, and Eddie wins. But what were you expecting? Okay? You couldn't have Eddie win cleanly because you had to pull Eddie over, but also make sure that Archer's protected. This works. The bad thing, and this is a far reach, was the promo for the street fight. And I said it's a far reach. It wasn't overly offensive. It's just that of the 5 things that Champ gave to me, it's the thing I enjoyed the least. But I still enjoyed it, if that makes any sense. You know, the cool thing about, as Champ alluded to, when we do these 2 out of 3 segments, I don't know what Champ's going to give me. He doesn't know what I'm going to give him. So in this scenario, in this realm, if you will, Champ gave me 5 segments, and this just happens to be the one that I didn't enjoy the least. You know, the one that I enjoyed the least out of a show that I completely enjoyed. Champ?
Right. So, yeah. So, I mean, the show was all the way around. We can't even understate that. I, too, that's why I, too, was this. I was a big fan of it, but I did it. I didn't enjoy it. So, yeah. All right, let's move to NXT. Get as they continue the Dusty Classic on both the women and men. Also, saw the actions. Lord go against the NXT champion Balor and Kyle O'Reilly. Before we that, we got comment from Hector Moore. Hector talking about. He says that it's really trying to be his brother. I mean, he's wearing the same gear. Dig War during his money in the bank, right? To find identity, not hang with his older brother's back. He's literally saying, "Oh, do you agree with that, Sid? Do you agree that Brian is trying to be Dolph 2.0?"
I think so. But Dolph did something on Twitter, I might add. Dolph, being the proud big brother that he was, proud of his little brother, making it to the big time and everything, you gotta love it in a way. You just do. I thought that Ryan did a very good job in his debut. And I think that if he signed long term, it's going to be great.
Right. Okay. Here we go. What other comments you got? Okay. Brian Pillman Jr. really is coming into his own, and contrary to Ryan, he's not riding his father's coattails. Correct me if I'm wrong. No, he's not.
No, he's not.
He says, "Bet that look to the camera for Jericho was for Cornette." Mostly.
Yeah, that was shade. Oh, whatsoever.
My bottom of the barrel was when FTR until he cut off Luchasaurus's horns off the mask and ripped the mask completely off. I wouldn't so because ripping off a mask is the most disrespectful thing you can do to a luchador. Top of the same barrel was Archer versus King because that it was a big hospital fight. And they went hell for leather. Absolutely, good stuff. Shit right there. Right. So let's talk about NXT. And I will begin and give you your 5 bits real quick. All right, number 1. MSK advancing in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic for the men. The segment with Tony is now giving us a triple threat for the NXT Championship. And Leon Ruff against the Grizzled Young Veterans in that tournament match for the Dusty Cup. Tag team main event of Balor and O'Reilly against Orton, Danny Burch. Anson Reed versus Swerve Scott in what was a pretty good match with Bronson Reed getting the. What do you got?
Let's go to the main event first for number 1. This was just amazing. Okay, this is not going to be a match that lands in your top 5 list at the end of the year for best of 2021. We're not going to be there. But you're going to go back and rewatch this because this match not only in contrast and style, but story building and creativity. And it extends the story between the Undisputed Era and Finn Balor having an uneasy truce to go up against the Pat McAfee family or faction, if you will. It raises the bar again, and with Balor and O'Reilly advancing, you have to wonder, what if not if the McAfee faction has up their sleeves for revenge, as you know it's going to happen some way, shape, or form. Leon Ruff and Kushida versus the Grizzled Young Veterans. That was an amazing match. It's tied with MSK versus Killian Dane and Drake Maverick because both are amazing matches. But this just kind of throws it just a little bit more than MSK because it developed not only in story but just overall action. It was a slobber knocker mixed with scientific skills, and even after the match, more stories are laid out. And I agree with something Daniel Bryan said. NXT should not be considered developmental too much anymore. because of matches of what they've been putting on of late. Low point. What are the other three I got left? I know the opening match is one. I know that Bronson Reed, Swerve Scott is one. But what's the other one?
The Tony Storm, Io Shirai, Mercedes Martinez segment.
Okay, cool. Boy, this is tough because I enjoyed all three. I would have to say Bronson Reed versus Isaiah Swerve Scott. And this is a major stretch here. You know, it's just like what Champ gave me with Dark. Of the five things, it's the one that I enjoyed the least. Although it was a fun show to watch all the way through. But I got to see Bronson Reed in the ring again. He's very agile for his size, which is solid for him, as well as NXT. But of the five, it's what I enjoyed the least out of a very solid show where I enjoyed all five things.
Shocking, because I enjoyed that match thoroughly. I thought it was absolutely amazing, but I got you.
It's what I enjoyed the least out of those five, and I enjoyed all five bits.
Okay, I got you.
I like it how you did that.
That's fair. That's fair. Really quickly before you give me your bits, just a couple comments. My boy AJ.
Hey, what's up, AJ?
No AJ from wrestling. He says MSK all the way. He's a big fan of MSK. Hector with a couple comments. Hell yeah, it would be a great way to debut in NXT if Dez and Wentz were to win it all. Mercedes is going to cost Tony Storm at TakeOver, which I hope they call St. Valentine's Day Massacre. You know what? They might. I wouldn't put it past them. Be honest with you. All right, what are your bits for me, sir?
All right, so you have Legado del Fantasma having to deal with Karrion Kross down the road. Jesse Camilla and Aaliyah versus Dakota Kai and Rachel Gonzalez. Johnny Gargano's promo. Which was really, really cool to watch, in my view. Ruff and Kushida versus Grizzled Young Veterans. And our main event of the evening, which is Balor and O'Reilly versus Lorcan and Birch.
That was the first number one. That main event was absolutely awesome. And visual that you got in, where you have the three healthy members of Undisputed Era and Finn standing there with them. That image right is the image that people should be talking about more. I'll say that much. That's it speaks volumes. That's here and there. Johnny Gargano's was number 2 for me because it just shows this whole thing of like, you know, he's like paranoid, which I like. I like paranoid Johnny. I really like Johnny. I can say I don't like paranoid. My bad bit's got to be Legado for because he was supposed to have a match. Then they this whole angle where first Alex got beat up. They the car and left it off, and then they gone the business. So yeah, I would say that's my bad bit is that right there. They really built Legado Dolphin to be too untable. So but I got a feeling that they might end up having Curse beat up the title, and that would be just absolutely wild me. But I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, that's mine right there. Those are my two and my one. So now, really quick, we got a couple comments, and we're going to get into the NXT UK report. So now let's see. Hector Bronson Reed versus Matanza. Who we got? Just remember, Matanza is named Jeff. So basically, Bronson Reed versus Jeff. We got Seth.
Couldn't quite get that there.
So I got to talk some dead air. Huh?
Couldn't quite get you there for a second.
What is that? Oh, okay. So Hector's asking, Bronson Reed versus Jeff Cobb. Who you got?
Ayo, fam. You ain't right. You ain't right.
Listen, you do a wrestling podcast. You got to answer the question.
Yep, because this is a good question, though. The basement's going to flip a coin here and say Cobb. But it's a coin flip. It could go either
I'll say
way.
Reed.
Cool.
I say Reed. I like Cobb, and Cobb strong as fuck. He can throw Reed around, but I'm going to go with Reed. So there you go. All right, we'll come back to comments in just a second, but right now it's time to go into the basement to find out what happened this week on the NXT UK. Seth, what do you have for us in the basement this week?
Oh boy, the basement. In the NXT UK report, here's what we have. Ben Carter had his second match. How did he fare? You'll find out. Jordan Devlin. Could he be having a future opponent down the road? Yeah, it's possible. You'll find out there. And who is the number one contender to the NXT UK Tag Team Championships held by Gallus? Find all this and more on the NXT UK report right here and right now. Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome to your NXT UK report for this week. Jordan Devlin and Trent Seven had a solid promo together. Trent Seven said, "Hey, I'm going to drop down to 205 pounds, and then I'm coming to your NXT Cruiserweight Championship." And Devlin said, "It's on." Nico Satomura is headed out to NXT UK. She's a Japanese pro wrestler that's had over a decade of experience, so this is going to be a really good boost to the women's division. We saw Ben Carter take on Sam Gradwell this week, and they backed up all of their talk in the ring. Great one-on-one dynamics. At the end of the match, Ben Carter gets his first NXT UK win with a frog splash. We saw Josh Morrell take on the debuting Shaw Samuels in what was a really good spirited matchup, but at the end of the day, Shaw Samuels wins with a spinebuster followed by the Gator Lock in his debut. Ilya Dragunov said he doesn't know what got into him during his match with Jack Stars. Rampage Brown says he wants to wrestle Joe Coffey, and Joe says, well, it's possible. Next week, we're getting Xia Brookside versus Mania Samuels in another open challenge for Jordan Devlin's NXT Cruiserweight Championship. And in our main event this week, we had the four-way elimination to determine the number one contenders for the NXT UK Tag Team Championships, where we had Andrews and Webster, Smith and Carter, Pretty Deadly, and The Hunt. This was a chaotic main event. The Hunt were eliminated first by Smith and Carter. Smith and Carter were eliminated by Andrews and Webster. And Pretty Deadly is our new number one contenders after some timely interference by Eddie Dennis. And that is your NXT UK report for this week. Stay tuned to every week at this time on the No Spots podcast for NXT UK reports from the basement.
Right. All right. So that's your NXT report base this week. And Sim mentioned it. There was a little bit in there. The other signing that was announced NXT UK is the legendary Meiko Satomura, the woman who founded Sendai. What's it called? She founded Sendai Girls Pro Wrestling in Japan, which is one of the other big Joshi promotions in Japan. And she's been a champion there. She was a Sendai Girls World Champion there. Joshi Puresu Dante Taiku Flash Tournament winner. She's been awarded the Joshi Puresu Grand Prize Awards. She's also won the Progress World Championship. She won championships all over the world, including in Jakarta. Long career for this young lady. Now she's bringing her talents to the United Kingdom again, NXT UK, as not only a wrestler but also as a coach. So congratulations to her. Right. So let's talk about NXT UK. Ben Card once again very impressive, showing his quickness and high flying ability as well as technical prowess. Going up a much bigger guy than Sam Gradwell. Sam Gradwell, grumpy prick. You know that? Grumpy prick, isn't he? Shit, man, that dude. I mean, great job from Carter. Big. That was a big confrontation between Devlin and Trent Seven. The Godfather of NXT UK says to get down to 205 pounds in order to try to take the NXT UK Championship, the NXT Cruise Championship from Jordan Devlin. Now, as we speak, Trent Seven is 216 pounds. He has to drop 11 pounds in order to get that shot. 11 pounds. It can be done. It just takes some time. So we're going to match 8 times soon. Right? So there you go. But that was pretty cool. Shot Sam is another mean prick, ain't he? He's a mean one, that one. But I like the fact that now he's going by his actual name and is showing what he's shown on the independent scene in Europe. So that's good on him as well. The casual challenge that Page I put there, hey, we have a go. And he said, hey, maybe we can do it for old time's sake. I'll let you know. So I looking forward to seeing that. I'm not gonna even lie to you. That fatal 4-way elimination main event was all over the place. It was good. Good. Fuck me. I thought the Hunt gonna win it, and it turned out to be those little Eric pricks. They're pretty deadly. I'm like, why? Why the fuck is it them? Out of all the teams, why is it them? Why couldn't it be the Hunt I picked last week? God damn it. But anyway. But it was still good. No, see, okay. They only picked the Hunt, but they got put out first. That's bullshit. Like, I picked the Hunt, and then everybody was eliminated first. And then I was rooting for the other team, Carter Smith. I was rooting for them. I'm like, yo, lives matter, let's go. And then they got eliminated. I was like, fuck. I just came in. So then I was like, all right, Flash Morgan and Andrew, I got this. And then fucking Eddie Dennis. And it get pretty fucking deadly. Challenging for the NXT UK Tag Team Championships. What the fuck? Okay. I feel better now talking about this shit because Jesus fucking Christ, man. Anyway, all right, let's talk about SmackDown. It's the final show before the Royal Rumble, and so I think that this show will be remembered because it wasn't up to the standard of what most SmackDowns have been, but it wasn't bad, right? It wasn't bad. All right, so let's talk about it. Sif, here are your bits for you. Number one, that absolutely chaotic main event where it started off as Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. Then it was a DQ. And then it turned into AJ Styles, Sami Zayn, and what the fuck? No, it turned into AJ Styles, Cesaro, and Sami Zayn against Daniel Bryan, Nakamura, and Big E. And then it went from there to Miz and Morrison getting involved. And then Otis coming out. Then it went from a 6-man to a handicap match where you add Miz and Morrison on the heel side and Otis on the face side. And then you had Sheamus come in later, and not only did he come in and just get into the match to make it even 10 on 5-on-5, he won the damn thing. So that's your first bit. Is that all that matters, including what happened after, including the return of Braun Strowman. So that's all part of it. So that chaotic main event and then the aftermath. Number 2, the face-off between Mob Boss Strowman and KO. Number 3, Bayley versus Bianca. Number 4, King Corbin versus Dominic. And number 5, and I'm not trying to confuse you, but outside of that whole chaos of that main event, D-Bry versus AJ by itself. Not associated with the pay-per-view, just by itself. Those are your 5.
All right. Numero uno. Number 1 for me with a bullet is KO and Roman having their face-off before the match on Sunday. Epic. Just epic. Roman just cut the live feed off. I mean, that was wild. Just insane. But good. That's what you want. Number 2 out of this was the opening promo with AJ and Daniel Bryan, to open the show. I mean, what are you doing here? Oh, quarterly brand invitational. Okay, it's basically used to promote pay-per-views heavily on Smackdown because Raw sucks. Okay, let's call a spade here. The only reason why AJ showed up was because Raw sucked. And so they had to make sure that people would go buy into the network or buy the pay-per-view. So there you go. But it did its thing. The worst, in my view, is the main event. It was just, oh, God. This was Gonzo booking. I mean, it started off good, but then it got thrown into a powder keg. But I did like the shock return of Braun Strowman at the end to put a crescendo at it. But they just did too much there. And maybe I'm wrong about that. Hector Champ, correct me if you will, if you can. But I think they just did, that was just overkill for me. I'm sorry.
Right. All right. So let's wrap this up. What are your bits for me? And then we'll get to a couple more comments and we'll wrap this up.
All right, cool. Sami Zayn getting told by Nakamura, and so many words. Hey, fuck you. The promo between KO Roman Reigns, the little sit down they had.
Right.
Bayley versus Bianca Belair. King Corbin versus Dominic Mysterio. And the interaction between Reginald and Sasha Banks.
Okay. Fuck. I'm hungry. I literally just forgot all 5 of those. That you just say them all 5 again. Just without
no worries.
I can remember.
I can do it all 5 again.
I'm starting right now.
No worries. Yeah. The face-off between KO Roman Reigns. The interaction between Reginald Sommelier and Sasha Banks.
Okay.
Nakamura literally giving the finger to Sami without doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Bayley versus Bianca Belair.
Mm-hmm.
And if memory serves, Corbin Mysterio.
Okay, Bailey and Bianca's off the bat number one for me, even over my boss Roman, just because of the fact that the match was good and the result was even better, which is a Bianca win. So what else do you want from me for that? I gotta go with that. My boss Roman and KO's sit down face off was number two, most definitely. The bad bit, um, was definitely Corbin versus Miss Dominic. Like, what are they really doing with this? Like, you got the kid lose twice in a row. First time he's competitive. He's competitive. This one is not competitive. Like, what are they doing with this? What are they doing with this and this whole gimmick? I don't get it. So that's a bad one for me. Is that one? So yeah, just really. I'm just gonna be real quick with that one. That's it. That's the bad bit for me. But again, SmackDown was average, which we haven't said about SmackDown in a while. It was average. So yeah. All right, let's get to some more. Let's get these last comments from Hector before we wrap this up with our final thoughts and final plugs. Hector says that Sada Moore is a legend in the world of Japanese Joshi wrestling. Let's see what she brings to NXT UK with her experience. Reports are saying that she's going to challenge Kaylee Ray for the NXT UK Women's Championship. Because Kaylee Ray says she wants the best in the world, and who better than someone who has been one of the best women in the world. Hector saying about SmackDown, I felt just as bad as an episode of Raw in terms of the booking. I wouldn't say that. That's why I said it was average. It was average. It wasn't the normal SmackDown booking. It was just average. In that main event, they just did too much. Like, you got all these Raw and SmackDown superstars intermingling. Yes, I know it's Royal Rumble, but you just put them all together and took what was a very good singles match and just convoluted it into a multi-man match that evolved, or in my opinion, devolved. And then you had the whole thing of the whole, throwing people at the top rope and all this madness, and then Strowman just comes strolling out there and just beats everybody's asses. So yeah, I wouldn't say it was as bad as Raw. It just was just not the standards that SmackDown has been. Okay, Roman is going to regret having poked the bear known as Kevin Owens. He's going to pay, but he's not going to lose. We already said that earlier. Roman's not losing. And he said he was eating a chicken sandwich. Dude, I'm trying to order me something now because I'm fucking hungry. So while I order something, I will turn it over to the Sith Lord for what we have as our final segment, final thoughts. And again, our final thoughts can be anything related to wrestling or non-wrestling related. So Sith, I yield the floor to you for your final thoughts and then what's going on in the basement this Sunday.
Cool. All right, guys. A little bit of poignant thought here. As Champ said, and I'm going to double down on it real quick, SmackDown was good, but it was average compared to what we're used to seeing on a weekly basis on SmackDown. And I have a challenge for the writing staff. This week was kind of a step down on SmackDown in some parts. And as I said, the main event was very, very scattered-brained. It was just a montage of everything. I mean, I get it was a go-home show, and I get that SmackDown had to carry the load to really promote the fuck out of the thing. But, Jesus, do better, guys. And we know we can. A note for Raw, as we're going from the Royal Rumble to WrestleMania season. With the announcement that the WWE Network is headed over to Peacock starting in mid-March, logic suggests something that needs to happen. Raw Creative needs to step shit up big time, because Peacock Premium is only $4.99 a month. And note to Peacock, you're going to have to get a better interface, kind of like what they have with the network, because you're getting so much content being put on there in a couple of days, in a couple of months. In about a month and a half, you're getting a ton of content here. You've already gotten a start on it, but you really need to remember, you're getting an entire library worth of stuff. You're getting so much stuff. But circling back to Raw, y'all got to step up your game on creative shit. Because, yeah, Peacock deal went through. It's official. But if Raw is the same shit going down the path, WrestleMania could really be a disappointment for 2 nights. Champ, in the basement this week.
Yeah, what's in the basement?
In the basement, Q&A, Song of the Day, and Part 3 of the Sith Essentials.
Right. All right. So my final thought is a non-wrestling one. This time of year, matter of fact, this very I was getting ready to get on a plane to come home to Chicago, Illinois. No, I think I was on the plane on my way back from my very first outside East Coast. I went to Chicago 2-day business, and I looked at this, and it was like it just brought me back to a time where things were so good. For a trip, I had never flown on a plane ever in my life, and I had the fear of doing so because now my fear of the plane just dropping out of the sky. It made absolute terror. But I was tasked to join my team in our office. I said, you know, I'm 37 years old at the time. It's time. And so I got that plane ticket. I made that trip to Reagan National Airport with my colleagues. Sat in the terminal, went through the TSA check-in, checked my bag, sat in the lounge, and as I kept sitting in the lounge, I remember feeling even more and more nervous because but at the same time, I was like, you know what? This is gonna happen. There's no turning back at this point. I'm getting ready to go to a city that I've never been to, and leaving at times I never left in my entire 7 years life. And then get on the plane, and all of a sudden, as the plane takes off, my nerves suddenly just wash away. And I begin watching the little movie download from Netflix because, of course, you don't have data up when you're on the plane, you're in airplane mode, and everything like that. But you can download movies, watch it. By the time that we almost got done, we're in Chicago. But I take some pictures of being over 30,000 feet in the air, and it was humbling. It was so humbling. And I remember my captain said, I never 37 years I will be above clouds. I never thought it. It was humbling, but it was also sad because where we are now, a year, it's almost dangerous to even travel because you have people that will go on planes without masks or go on planes knowing they have COVID but won't get the proper testing so they can be made, ready. Which is why I'm glad some of the airlines are taking the initiative to make it a priority and make it a requirement that you need to have negative COVID before you get on this plane. Otherwise, you're not getting on this plane. And you will wear a mask on this plane or you will not fly on this plane. It's crazy to think that on my very first ride, the following year, once again scared to get on a plane, not because it's going to fall out of the sky, not because I'm 30,000 plus feet above the ground. No. I'm now afraid to get back on a plane because I could end up catching COVID and it could kill me. I realized that my finally on a plane, my fear of flying will be gone. But there's a bunch of people in this country who can't seem to help us out. My fear of flying has returned. And it sucks. And that's my thought. If you want to catch me next week, I will be on the Sports on the Hill podcast. We will be previewing the Super Bowl, which will be Tampa Bay Buccaneers against Kansas City Chiefs in James Stadium. This will be the first time, I believe, in the history of the NFL that the host stadium, the team that plays in that stadium, and will be playing in that stadium for the Super Bowl. So how about that? That should be awesome. I will also be as part of the Wizards Roundtable because boy, the Wizards have had a tough week this week. They finally were able to get some of their players back from that COVID outbreak, but it has not worked out well for them. And myself and the rest of the Wizards Roundtable will be talking about that. That's coming up next week for me. As for this podcast, next week we will come back and we will fully recap the Royal Rumble. So we give you, analysis of what we saw, what we thought, see if our picks were correct, things of that nature, and give our final grades. And then we'll look at the fallout shows of Raw and SmackDown for that, as well as Impact as it started through its second Impact Plus exclusive pay-per-view event coming up in February. An episode of Dark Dynamite Beach Break. So we'll talk about the Beach Break. NXT is they're now barreling towards their next takeover, as well as the NXT UK Report. Did Xia Brookside get her? Did Xia Brookside deal with her issue with that young lady in time in her match? Nina Samuels, thank you very much. So did she deal with Nina? We'll find out. That's all next week. One last comment here, and then we are out of here. What you got to say, Hector? I'm cutting out. I figured as much. I'm sorry. Okay. This is the last thing I say. This will be another final thought. Guys, I can't help it. What we're using a service called StreamYard. StreamYard says that it works better when you plug into the internet as opposed to Wi-Fi. So until I can get an Ethernet cord that is long enough that can go from where I'm sitting now to the router that's all the way right there in the corner in the kitchen, this is what you're going to have to deal with, because this service doesn't work well with Wi-Fi, unfortunately. And like I said, until I can get a cord, look, Amazon has them for cheap. So next week I'm going to order it, and then we'll see if it works. If it works better, then hopefully this will be fixed. But for right now, this is all I can do. Is I can use Wi-Fi. I can't use my mobile hotspot because it's slower, so it'll be even worse. This is it. So I get it. Yeah, I'm cutting out, but I can't fix it. I can't fix it. I can't fix it in post. I can't do nothing. This is just it. And so I can get an Ethernet cord that's long enough. I got to measure to see how long it is from here to there. So I make sure I get the right cord, so that way I can get it all the way over there, and then be able to plug into the internet, so that way my quality is better. So yeah, that's the problem there. And I'm going to need to do that since we're going to be on Twitch. Matter of fact, I forgot to mention that too. Remember, Sunday night, 6:25 or 6:55, twitch.tv/True No Spots Pod. Live reactions there. Hector, you're already on Twitch because that's where I actually met you at. So make sure you're on the Twitch following so you can check out live reactions. Please feel free to host it if you like, so more people can see it. That would be awesome. And that's it. So I got about 20 minutes before my food should get here. That gives me time to start working on the audio here. Sith is there's Sith there. I'm These People's Champ. Again, you can hear Sith's Basement on this Sunday, and every Sunday at 6 p.m. on all podcasting platforms like Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and all that good stuff. Okay, I'm rambling. Out. Bye.
Peace.